Our lawyer that looked at it told us we had the shittiest deal in the history of over budget. Expenses were written off for other artists on our shit. It was just bad.
Nappy Roots, active since 1995, featuring Skinny DeVille, Be Still, Ron Clutch, Fish Scales, R Prophet, and Big V. Today's feature is a group that could be the poster child for making something out of nothing and going after what you desire with everything you have. Seeing everything they went through in their music career, you have to have that mindset in order not just to win, but make it through it all and still end up in good position. When you hear the name Nappy Roots, you first remember their popular songs from back in the early 2000s that took over radio and countdown shows, giving us a glimpse of what life was like on the other side of the train tracks, where it wasn't about the glitz and glamour and fast pace of the city life. Country boys that weren't used to shiny things and popping bottles looking rich. It was about hard work and getting out what you put in, accountability. The group represented that while showing us how much of a good time being country was at the same time, because there was no pressure to live up to a certain expectation. Though these country boys went to college, they'd be taught a very important lesson in business after the fact, signing what they described as the worst record deal in the history of hip-hop with Atlantic Records. A deal a lawyer looked at and couldn't believe the behavior going on in the music industry. It was so bad that expenses from other artists were included in their budget, and the label would wind up with just about all the profit, while the members settled for $30,000 up front. But that's the thing about the dollar and a dream concept. You'd think your talent and work ethic would be enough to get you to the places you'd like to go in this world, but those vast and endless dreams can only take you so far. Good things do come to those that keep dreaming and are ready for when opportunity knocks, because one thing about the universe, it gives opportunity where there's effort involved, and Nappy Roots definitely had the work ethic and dedication to work through the balance of school and chasing a dream that gave no promises. All they knew is the music felt good and was worth quitting their jobs, even giving up a full scholarship and sports stardom for the chance to become a star in music. These humble country boys managed to go platinum on their first try and were poised to fall in line as the next big thing in country rap music, popular at the time. But then life and one of the worst deals in hip-hop happened and changed everything. Let's talk about it. Salute to Gary Tyndall for this request. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music. Get it. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Nappy Roots is a rap group from different parts of Kentucky, mainly Louisville and Bowling Green, that met and came up together through shared interests as university students at Western Kentucky. While there, they worked on their debut independent album as a way to make some extra money and demo their music around campus and to record labels or producers they wanted to work with. The album was a hit locally and made its way to Atlantic Records, who signed the group a few months later. When they signed the deal with Atlantic, they were more excited about the opportunity to finally be in the game instead of the fine print, and off they went, climbing the hip-hop ranks as the music almost immediately caught on mainstream. But contractually, school was just about to begin. Stunt number 1, the Great Atlantic Holdback. Nappy Roots were eager to get started and called themselves professionals in the music industry. Most artists at the time could tell their own horror stories of dealing with a major label where there was no social media and news didn't get out easily and made available for anyone to chime in. Therefore, labels could get away with pretty much whatever they wanted with the artist and not be found out more than word of mouth could take it. The actual record deal Nappy Roots signed was one thing, but starting off they dealt with an initial growth stunt after it took 4 years to even get a release date on the crowded label at the time. They signed with Atlantic in 1998 and recorded hundreds of songs, but the label just couldn't figure out a way to market them. In their mind, they wanted to become the next Organized Noise or Wu-Tang, a collective hub of artists that were a group and also solo as well, but somewhere there was a disconnect and Atlantic didn't see it. They saw them as the next outcast, but then there were too many of them and the comparisons just didn't stick, so they were shelved until something made sense, and it took 4 years before they could get their opportunity. 4 years is a long time to be on a label waiting for the release of your music you did a year or two ago, but the group continued working and networking until they finally got with producer Jazzy Faye, who produced their lead single Outta. At that time, it was difficult to get radio placement in Atlanta without a Jazzy Faye produced track, and Nappy Roots literally hunted him down for that chance. Outta, of course, charted and led the album off well. Then the heartfelt, feel-good Po Folks dropped, sending the album to greater heights and certifying Nappy Roots as next up. The album went platinum. They were nominated for a Grammy for Po Folks in 2003. Most artists shelved for 4 years never see the light of day, but Nappy Roots made their own opportunity, not sitting back and allowing their dreams to slip away. Stunt number 2, the Atlantic deal. You've heard all the stories, I'm sure, of artists signing bad deals for their music, but according to Nappy Roots, theirs was particularly the worst, and I'd agree that because they signed to Atlantic at all, changed the trajectory of their careers altogether. After becoming popular at their school's record store and around town with their album Country Fried Cess, Atlantic A&R Mike Caren approached and was aggressive about signing the group. According to Skinny DeVille, they didn't care what the deal said, they just wanted to get the ball rolling and finally be in the rap game officially. It was a deal with a $30,000 advance and the ability to record in a professional studio, and of course the Atlantic machine behind them, which is a gift and lure for artists used to homemade studio closets to that point. The deal included them being charged for certain things like flights, studio time, royalties were set to where they pretty much got nothing back, interest rates, expenses from other artists' accounts were written off on their expense in their contract. Pretty much everything you'd expect a one-sided label deal to have, Nappy Roots had it. But they didn't allow it to break their spirits, hit the road, and by week 7 was already in gold status. At that point, they decided to get a lawyer to look into the deal when the shadiness of the contract was realized. The silver lining was in the deal. It said if they happened to go platinum on the first album, the terms of the contract could be renegotiated, and it was as soon as the certification happened. Atlantic never expected them to go platinum, but saw the value in their brand and agreed to terms for the second album, which gave them a $2 million advance and a better split going forward. Album 2 came out and didn't have the success of Album 1, leaving the group in a place they had to make decisions. Stunt number 3, going separate ways. After signing on for a second album, renegotiated terms of course, Nappy Roots got to work, this time coming from a place of accomplishment and somewhat success, even though still hungry to prove they could do it again, but this time was really for the money, as so much was left on Album 1. The good thing is, they did get to keep their publishing from their first album and on Album 2, but there was still bad blood between them and Atlantic for how aggressively they took back control. That bad blood led to a lack of promotion for the second album, and it pretty much went under the radar with no popular radio or countdown show hit song. Round the Globe was the lead-off single, and Nappy Roots was still attempting to sell the country lifestyle to the world, but this time there was a disconnect there as well. These were Grammy-nominated guys with a platinum album under their belt, and every late-night show interview you can speak of, they've done it. The image and feel wasn't the same, and Round the World did well, but wasn't strong enough to carry them. They had an underdog feel to them the first go-round, but this time, expectations were high, and sales-wise, they didn't meet them. They were also at the point they all had some money and could do what they really wanted to, and all they wanted to do was be comfortable. So, some moved to Atlanta and different places where they focused on family and life as they individually knew it. R. Prophet and Big V left to pursue solo careers, while the rest spent the next 2 years trying to get off Atlantic and officially went independent on Album 3 5 years later. Independently, they didn't do as well, but the freedom and control was worth it. They continued making indie albums and enjoyed a quiet life doing what they wanted while still making music their die-hard fans could enjoy. All in all, Nappy Roots had to go through a lot, but got the life they wanted out of it, where they didn't sacrifice without return. Yes, they had the worst deal in history, but unlike other artists with bad deals, they actually made it through that and still had platinum success and left owning their publishing and independence going forward. Not bad. Salute, much respect, but for these reasons, their growth was stunted. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth Music, and I'm out.